Hey, welcome back. Glad you could be with me today. Today, I want to talk about separation anxiety because it's one of those many things that's very common but also very misunderstood. So I want to talk about it a bit because I think a lot of you at some point are going to have a horse that has separation anxiety. And a lot of people want to know what to do about it and all that sort of thing. Well, I'll get into that in a minute. It's not exactly simple. Well, depends on why, because you see, that's one of the things about separation anxiety is why? What is it? There's more than one cause of it. There's more than one kind. Now, as the word anxiety would imply, one of the causes, it's just an anxious horse, a horse that has a lot of anxiety. And when you take it away from its safe place, that increases dramatically and you end up with separation anxiety. The other one is, well, and that's when you got to work on all kinds of stuff that helps the horse be a little more confident. And I'll get into that in a minute. But another one of the things that is very common, and it's actually, well, the herd-bound buddy sour, separation anxiety, all these things manifest very, very similarly. When you take the horse away from a place that it's familiar with and comfortable with, all of a sudden it starts to react and it'll start whinnying or want to run home. Well, I'll talk about some of the causes. Now, I'm probably not going to get it all, but one of them is herd-bound. And I'm currently working with a horse that is extremely herd-bound, as well as very high anxiety. She's got a lot of problems. But she's also very, very attached to other horses. And this is not uncommon, especially if you have pastor buddies that have been together for a long time. When one goes away, the other one cries, or either one of them they don't like being apart. That's the separation anxiety. And it's not so much that they're being separated because, see, this is also, wanting to be at home, wanting to be where the food and water is, wanting to be with their buddies, with their herd, or even a specific horse. These are all very, very natural things. And that's one of the things that I keep trying to explain to people is a lot of the things that we consider problems aren't really problems at all. They're actually a horse being 100% normal. You're the one with the problem because you have a problem with it. It's a problem to you, not to the horse. The horse doesn't have a problem with it. It's not a problem to the horse. Understand that. These things that you are having issues with, they are not problems. Well, they're problems if you let them be. Maybe I should use an example in that one. Just recently I had a little situation at work and I realized there was going to be a problem, and I assessed the situation and I accommodated it, and well, we managed to accomplish what we needed to without any incident. It wasn't terribly difficult. One of my co-workers says to me, who was very well aware of this problem, he says, "Wow, you didn't have a problem." And I looked at him and I says, "You know what? It's never a problem unless you let it be a problem." Well, it's kind of the same situation. Most of our problems aren't really problems unless we let them be problems. Now, that can take place is, well, allow them to continue. That lets them become a problem. Or we let it bug us. Well, then you're definitely the one with the problem, not the horse. Horses don't have problems. They're just horses. And they just know what they know. And, anyhow. So, the two different primary causes of separation anxiety. One is the horse is just plain anxious to begin with. Hence the word anxiety. Well, the other problem is more completely natural behavior, is it really doesn't want to be away from its herd, it doesn't want to be away from the food and water, doesn't want to be away from its familiar surroundings, and it may be very, very specifically attached to one horse that it's been buddies with for a long time, gets very anxious when it's away from them. Now, it's a tough one, and there's two different approaches to it. There might be more that I don't know about too. I don't have all the answers, but depending on whether the horse is just plain anxious, or if it's separation anxiety because it is very bonded with a particular horse or the herd in general. Those two both get treated pretty much the same. The first one, you got to do a little bit different because you have to do more things like the focus work and stuff, things that let the horse know that you're paying attention and that you will give it the security it needs. So when it goes away from a familiar surrounding, it doesn't, the anxiety levels don't increase because it's with you and they know that you're okay, you're going to take care of the situation. And that is, for many horses, that is the primary issue, is that you become a good enough source of comfort to them that you become a substitute for the herd, their mate, the food, the water, familiar surroundings, all this stuff. As long as they're with you, everything's cool. But with some horses, they just, and I've seen many cases of this, you take them away from a horse that, I can think of several right here, right now, that are paired up, and man, you cannot split them up or they just have a bird. And one of them is one I'm working with, which really creates problems. But a lot of horses don't like being away from the herd because it's very instinctual for them to want to be with the herd because there's strength in numbers, and the lone horse usually ends up as dinner. They don't want to die. They're just thinking about their life. They just want to stay alive. And I keep trying to stress this to people that when you're having problems with your horse, it's not being bad. It's trying to stay alive. And that's all it's doing. It's just trying to stay alive. And so, don't get upset with it. It's not being bad. It's in its mind, it's being good. But what you can do is, and I don't know how many times I've heard this problem too, and people get riding out. I was fine until I got so far, and then I turned around, and as soon as I headed home, it wanted to run. Or it saw other horses that wanted to go with them. And, these are all, some of the many symptoms of separation anxiety. And I can assure you that if they were really paying attention, and this is why I always stress, pay attention to your horse. It'll tell you a lot. Because if those people had been paying attention, they would have noticed that horse telling them they were going to have a problem before they even got out of the yard. And that is where you fix your problems. In the yard, at home. You don't have to wait till you're out 2 miles away and then the horse starts freaking out. Because by then, if it's freaking out, it's already gone way past threshold. And I always say, don't find the line and don't cross it. And that line, if it's already flipping out, well, it's too late. You can't fix the problem then, and you've already gone too far. Fix the problem before you leave the yard. And I'll explain just briefly and simply how. And I've done this. Sometimes it can take an awful long time too. And a lot of you are control freaks. You're always pulling on one rein or the other. Don't. Set them down. Give the horse a squeeze and have them start walking. Well, once you get them pointed in the direction of the gate. Never mind this riding with contact stuff. That's just going to create more problems. All these things, just let the horse make the choice. And, well, perfect example of one I was working with. We started heading towards the gate, and we didn't even get anywhere near the gate. And he turns around, wants to go back to the barn because there's treats in there or whatever, oats. Well, as soon as we get back to the barn, very close to it, right in front of it, we start trotting circles. Not walking, trotting. And fairly tight circles that, well, it's not a whole lot of fun for the horse. And pretty soon you do that long enough, and it might only take a couple of circles, might take quite a few. Hard to say, but you just pay attention. Again, pay attention. And as soon as you feel the circles trying to enlarge, and the horse is actually trying to go away from the barn, that's when you let go of that one rein and let it go that direction, away from the barn towards the gate that you're trying to get it towards. And, well, with this one particular horse I was doing this with, he would start walking towards the gate, and again, he wouldn't even get to the gate, and all of a sudden he'd turn, he'd want to go over to the fence over there because there's the big herd over there. And as soon as he got to the fence, I'm on a loose rein, let him go. He goes where he wants. And when we get to that fence where his buddies are, guess what? Start trotting circles again. And eventually the circles start to bulge out a bit. They get bigger. He wants to pull out away from there because he doesn't like that place anymore. And eventually, when he's going the direction I want, I let go of the rein and let him have his head, and he goes straight towards the gate. Well, almost. Then all of a sudden he decides, nope, I'm going to go over that way. And he'll go over to the other fence where there's other horses. And I'll, okay, you want to go there? You get to go there. And I'll just sit there and relax, just let him go there to walk. And as soon as he gets there, we start trotting circles again. And he decides, oh, maybe that's not such a bright idea after all. And again, we just keep doing it until the circles start getting bigger. And once he's pointing the direction we want, we just let go of the reins and he's walking the direction we want. His choice. We don't make him. And he starts heading for the gate. And we're walking along. All of a sudden at the last minute, nope, going to try one more thing. Turns around, walks all the way back across the yard over to the end of the arena where I'd got on him. Figures, well, if that's where he gets on, that's where he'll get off. Well, surprise, we get there, and no, I didn't get off. We started trotting in circles. And he decides, you know what, I don't think I like that. And the circle starts getting bigger and bulging out towards the direction of the gate. And eventually we let go of the rein, and he goes towards the gate. Well, this whole process kept repeating itself for 3/4 of an hour with this particular horse. And it might take you that long. It might take you 5 minutes. It might take you 2 hours. Who said? Who knows? There's no rules that say. But this is what you're going to have to do. And eventually they decide, you know what, over there wasn't good, over there wasn't good, over there wasn't good, over there wasn't good. How about I go that way? And after about 3/4 of an hour of doing this, he walked out that gate in the direction that I wanted him to go without even holding the reins, on his own free will. And that's exactly what you're going to have to do with your horse. You fix the problem before you leave the yard. But before you try doing something like that, make sure that the problem, in fact, is not that the horse is simply horribly anxious when it comes to everything. And I've seen that too, where that kind of thing wouldn't have worked with some horses because that would be actually a milder form, where they think the herd, the home, the water, the feed, that's a good place. And I convince them, no, if you go there, you're going to have to work. Whereas if you go where I want you to go, you just get to do a nice, relaxed, slow walk. And eventually they'll go anywhere you want that way. But, like I said, you got to be careful when you're trying something like that, because the reason that horse is freaking out might be it's simply getting too far away from where it feels comfortable. And you haven't built enough of a relationship with that horse for it to feel comfortable with you that far away from home. So you got to be careful. Like I say, pay attention. Watch the horse. It will tell you what the problem is. It will show you the signs, and it will let you know. Like I said, when it comes to riding out, I don't know how many times I've heard people complain they got a problem way out there somewhere. Well, no, you didn't have a problem. You had a problem right here before you ever got out there, before you even left the yard. And if they had been paying attention, they would have noticed some resistance. The horse wanted to turn around. It was like, you're doing this with the reins, trying to keep it going the direction you want. No, you should be able to set the reins down and the horse is going to go the direction you want. Once you get it pointed that way, it should continue going that way. Until you ask it to turn, it should keep going straight. If it turns, let it turn. And when it goes to where it wants, it thinks is a good idea, then, okay, sure. You think this is a good place? Okay. Giddy up. Yeah. That's a cheesy word, phrase. What do you call it? Giddy up. Oh, anyhow. I don't know anybody that's ever actually used that one, but anyhow. So, consider that, the so-called separation anxiety is that, and another way of dealing with it, there's one more way of dealing with it, is if you get two horses, if a horse is particularly bonded with another horse, you can do this in an enclosed space such as an indoor arena or an outdoor arena where it's just those two horses. And you get on one of the horses and you ride it around, and every time it goes over to the other horse, you make it trot circles around the other horse. And then when it decides it's going to start making the circles a little bigger, just let go of the rein and let it go straight away from the other horse. And pretty soon you'll find that the horse thinks, you know what, away from that horse is not such a bad deal. near that horse, that's not such a good idea. I always get put to work every time I'm there. No, I don't like that horse so much. And, well, that's one of the ways. And again, might take 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 2 days. Who knows? All depends on the horse, you, the situation, your environment. There's a lot of variables involved, but like I said, the whole separation anxiety thing, it's a common problem. It is often misunderstood for what it really is. It's not actually separation anxiety. It's just they want to be with the other horses. That's natural. Well, a lot of people call it herd bound, but that's not really a bad thing. That's their instincts wanting to stay alive. That's all it is. Sometimes they just feel more comfortable hanging out with their buddies. When they know where the feed and the water is, they like to be at home. Well, there's probably a few of you like that. Just feel a whole lot more comfortable sitting in your easy chair not too far from your refrigerator with your television or whatever. That's how it goes. So when it comes to separation anxiety, figure out what the source actually is. Is it bonded to that individual horse? Or is it just generally herd bound? Is it just generally an anxious horse? There's a lot of different variables, a lot of different causes that all pretty much manifest the same once you get out there, but that's not where you should be fixing it. And if you're really paying attention, you'll find it here before you get out there. And that's kind of the point is, well, separation anxiety is a common thing. Figure out exactly what is causing it and identify it and fix it before it becomes a problem. There you go. That's my rant for today. Now go play with your horse and have some fun. Have a good day.